in true Dateable fashion, we always have to start with a song. This one is to you, Julie.
Oh, thanks. Could people make it out? It's the Hanukkah song. I had so many luckies tonight. They were amazing.
So many luckies?
Yeah, like potato luckies. Luckies.
Oh, lucky?
Not luckies.
Lucky? How many?
And I had Chinese food for lunch, so it's basically Christmas for me. It's Jewish Christmas.
You celebrated early. That's what that means.
Yeah. Oh, we have Ryan and Laura.
Yes, hello, everyone. Good to see you all.
Happy holidays. I cannot believe it's the holidays.
It's the first day of Hanukkah?
This is the first day of Hanukkah. So, yep. Oh, Tim's here.
No work. Do you usually work tonight?
Guess so.
Oh my gosh.
You're here in the flesh with us. Love it.
So lucky. So lucky.
You know what's funny? So for everyone that hasn't heard on the podcast, I'm in my parents' basement right now. I'm back at home in Boston. And I made the mistake of telling my parents that I was doing a few virtual dates. So now every time I go to the basement, they think I'm on a virtual date.
Oh my God. Only in 2020 can you go to the basement and someone asks you if you're going on a date.
I literally feel like I've reverted back to high school, like when you're on the phone with your crush and you don't want your parents to hear you. I'm sitting there with my headphones on, whispering. So, but half the time I'm really talking to Yue. So,
I'm on the phone. Get off the phone. Remember those days?
Oh hell yeah, landlines. At least I don't have to deal with landlines.
Louis says the 2020 version of sneaking out. I'm just going to hop on the Zoom call when everyone's asleep.
My dad is asked to make a special guest appearance on my virtual dates. And I'm like, please do not.
I thought we meant tonight. Does he want to do a special appearance?
I actually was I would prefer him to think I'm on a virtual date than on a live stream with 200 people.
You want to meet Julie's dad, just give a thumbs up.
I'm sure my dates that don't even know me really want my dad popping in. That's the worst Zoom bomb ever.
Hi, Kendra. Good to see you. Remember, if you don't click on the StreamYard, I think it's terms and agreements link, then we can't see who you are when we are on our platform. We just see Facebook user. It's a privacy setting.
Yeah, so we see a few Facebook users.
Yeah. So if you want us to know your name, click on that link.
We want to see your lovely faces and names.
Welcome, welcome. Happy holidays. Happy December. Happy get the fuck out of 2020. It's coming to an end. Oh yeah, Kendra's I want to meet Julie's dad. Me too. Me. We got to make this happen. Anybody else?
He's probably asleep.
He's not super fascinating. I mean, the times that he's come downstairs to fix the toilet,
Yue and I as dates a couple of times. Luckily, not my actual virtual dates, but.
Oh, I love it. Someone's I clicked once. Am I somebody now? You're still a Facebook user. Sorry.
My parents probably think I have this raging dating life, but I'm always talking to Yue.
I consider these dates too. It's not it has to be romantic.
Dating
it just means you're hanging out with someone that you really like. That's what it is.
Exactly.
As we approach the end of 2020, it also means we're approaching the end of the season 11. We have 3 more episodes left, and we saved some of the best for last. These last 3, it's boom, boom. Next week, we've got Schemas coming up. I know you guys love the personality hacker one, or the personality one. I know we've talked about all sorts of attachment theories and everything along the lines of that. But Schemas is one that's not really talked about, but it should be. Things that schemas are things that are just innate in us that we can't change, but it's all about how to get along knowing that you have these schemas and knowing your partner's schemas. So it's really interesting.
It's like if attachment theories and personalities like birthed a child, it would be schemas.
Yes.
Like, how do we put this in context that people get? And also, I'm not going to give away too much here, but there is a really good twist with our guest and Yue. There's a path to surface real time in the recording. So I'm not going to say anything else. You got to listen next week. It is going to be a crazy episode, though. It's going to be so good.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah. Next, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Michael Todd Green. I just love to be a famous actor. I just feel like Michael Todd Green is someone I need to see like ending credits of a movie or something. But yeah, to see you now, you are somebody now. Jason, we can see you. You are somebody.
We also have two guests that get real about their personal lives that are like pretty well-known names, which is awesome. We have Jared Freed coming up, who is the host of the You Up podcast and J Train. So he's like a big comedian, ask me anything relationship guy. He tells it how it is from a guy's perspective, basically, a total straight shooter. So it's a great episode. And we also have Yue's like idol, Maylie.
I wish I could go on dates with her too. She's like this. Her name is Maylie. She's sort of like a well-known Asian journalist, and she's chosen to be unmarried without kids, and she's now in her 50s and living her best life. So for all of us who feel that biological ticking clock, who feel like our choices are dwindling, she is like having the time of her life right now. And she tells us a really great story of her journey. It's not like she never wanted kids or marriage. It just didn't pan out for her, and she has no regrets. She's still living her best life.
And we have that existential question, like, can you have it all? Right? Like the career, the family, all that. We saved these for the end for a reason. So we'll just leave it at that, but definitely tune in the next couple of weeks.
I think someone's fanboying right now. It's Ryan.
Yeah.
Jason, I just listened to your episode today, and Jason's like, oh my God, that means so much to me. It's awesome. I love that we have so many previous guests in our Facebook group, and we've also sourced a lot of recent guests from the Facebook group, including our most recent 3.
I know you made this joke of like, we're just going to have all our guests with a Facebook group, but we kind of have for the last 3 weeks. So it's not really a joke.
It's not a sales funnel, it's a guest funnel. Forget the man funnel. Guest funnel here in the Facebook group. So if you haven't listened to the last 3, you really need to. They were so good. We had Kethan, we had Aaron, we had Tony. And our most recent one with Tony was all about dating with depression. It's a really raw conversation. I love getting raw about these conversations and these topics that are sensitive to a lot of people, but it needs to be discussed.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's also why we wanted to address the topics today, and you all voted. So we put it out there. And I think the holidays bring up a lot on a good day outside of a pandemic. And I think that's what this episode too with depression, like the pandemic is like adding this extra layer right now. So we wanted to just dive in with you all and answer. We got a bunch of questions in from sounding board members, which was fantastic. So we've kind of compiled it into a couple themes. So we'll address those. And yeah, of course, if you have questions or comments, I think one of our members last time described this as the Facebook group on steroids, because of all like the real-time comments happening. So comment away. We'll post up the good ones. We got Louise behind the scenes. So big round of applause to Louise before we keep going.
Thank you so much for everything you've done. You've totally upped our production game, made us extremely organized.
Yes, Louise is the master organizer as well.
And another shout out for Louise. If anybody is looking for a live event producer, whether it's virtual or in person, probably mostly virtual right now, Louise is your gal. You got to go to her. She knows what she's doing, and she knows everything about Zoom.
Yes, our sounding board members who have been to the Dateable after shows can attest to the next level Zoom that's happened in there.
Love it. Someone's giving shout out to Tony, Aaron, and Kethan.
Yeah.
Someone by the name of Facebook user. don't know who you are, but
We appreciate you, Facebook user.
we appreciate you. Hi, Caitlin. Hi, Sakib. Sakib said this week's episode was really good. Definitely learned a lot. Yes.
Oh, love you, Louise, Facebook user.
Anonymously love you. Not creepy at all. Just kidding.
It's actually Louise. I'm just kidding.
Oh, man. It's just like, I love big happy family that we're creating. And I like, unlike most families where you can't really talk about depression and mental health, we can. This family, we can talk about that stuff. And one of the main, like a really popular question that was brought up for this live stream was navigating the holidays, especially around the feelings of loneliness. And this is something I think we can all relate to, whether you're in a relationship or not. There's always a tinge of loneliness around the holidays, right? It's really odd. And I think it's important to make the distinction between loneliness and being alone. Loneliness is a mindset. Being alone is the physical fact of being alone. And a lot of us feel the mindset of loneliness, but we're not actually alone. Right?
No, we're not, because we're all together. So by default, we're not alone. But I think this year is also a weird year too. Like, I think there is a known fact that depression does creep in over the holidays, like any year. But this year, like, travel's harder with COVID, like, so, I mean, in California, back in lockdown. So there's a lot that's going on for people. And I know, like, the other day I got on Facebook, I love how Facebook just happens to remind you of things that you're just like, oh, I wish you didn't. It sent me a photo of like Yue and I at this like holiday gala that we used to go to every year. And I was like, oh, I totally forgot about this, but thanks, Facebook. And I think it's hard because this time of year, there's usually so much going on. And we might find ourselves alone on the holidays. So how do we work through that? And I think one piece is, this is not going to be forever. Like, I was like looking at pandemic history, and like after the swine flu, no, I swear, I find it really interesting. I watch on Netflix.
That is interesting.
And like the 20s, like the Roaring 20s came out of a pandemic. So we're going to be in a good time eventually. It's just right now it's not. And it's sometimes really hard to see that bigger picture, but it's like, okay, if you do find yourself alone on the holidays, I think you should feel all the things that you feel. Like, you can say it sucks. It does suck. But let's just remember, it's not a reflection of you. It's not a reflection of life forever. Like, it's going to come and go.
I think a major problem with the holidays is that we feel like, oh, if I was dating someone, I'd be happy around the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
If with my family, I'd be happy around the holidays. We have these like arbitrary milestones in our mind, and somehow the holidays always disappoint because we don't meet those milestones. A way to shift that mindset is to create happiness for yourself and create ways that you can look forward to things. So one thing that I do is I fill up my calendar. I love filling up my calendar, even with things like, one example is, I'm going to watch Girlfriends on Netflix for 3 hours.
I love that show. I feel like it is like a hidden gem from the 2000s. Who has seen Girlfriends here? I think we need like a little mini poll on the chat.
Haven't yet? You need to revisit this show. It is so good, and it will make you feel so good about yourself too. It's a really fun show, but even something like that, I would put on my calendar, because psychologically it shows that if you have something to look forward to, then you have this feeling of positivity and optimism. If our calendar is empty, then we're like, oh, I have nothing to look forward to in the holiday season. So I put literally everything on my calendar. I'm taking my dog for a walk Friday for a 1 hour walk. I'm putting that on my calendar.
You know what else too? Like, I had a friend, one of my college friends, was like, hey girls, we need to do like a holiday get together virtually. And there's nothing that's stopping us from still doing this stuff. Like, we have like a Secret Santa with a friend group. And I admit I'm not the best at organizing this type of stuff, but I always appreciate the people that are. So if you're not finding that you have a group of friends that's suggesting it, maybe all it takes is suggesting it yourself. There might be someone else that's totally down to do it. And we also have our happy hours too. So shameless plug for the sounding board, but there's always a way to connect people with people if you find those outlets.
And again, it's a mindset shift. Instead of thinking about scarcity, oh, I have nobody around me, I have nobody here. Think about abundance. Like, we need to be more grateful of the people around us. I'm grateful for you all. And I'm so grateful that all of us survived 2020. I mean, knock on wood, like, let's hope we survive all of 2020. But this is like having these little moments, just feeling grateful for what you do have, then it makes you feel like there is an abundance of love, an abundance of support. And if you look, like we always talk about, the brain is an evidence seeker. If you feel like there's scarcity, you're always going to find evidence to support that. But if you shift your mindset to think about abundance, I have so much of so many great things, then your brain will start looking for that too.
I think the other thing is, like, things don't always have to be the way we think they're like the way they look, right? Like, we always say that with dating is, like, sometimes, you know, like, you can find happiness in a partner and it might not be the person you imagined, or the way it's showing up isn't how you thought it was going to be. And maybe that's the same for holiday get-togethers. Sure, I would love to be at the Fairmont Hotel right now at a Holodazzle party with Yue and our other friends, but, you know, this year it's going to be via Zoom. And, you know, it's still the benefits of, like, being with everyone. You can't forget that piece too. Yeah, similar to how you put little things on your to-do list, just cross them off. Love the calendar idea. Thanks, Laura. I love that.
I do that all the time, Laura. I will write I'll be like, drink water. It's on my to-do list.
Yeah.
You gotta just cross it off.
It makes you feel like you're accomplishing stuff too. Oh, finding this group has been it's been a highlight of our 2022. Like, I was talking to Janice, our moderator, so shout out to Janice, about, like, 2020, and she was like, one of the top things has been this group. And I was like, me too, 110%. So thank you all. I think we've all, like, been really able to, this has exceeded our wildest dreams from this group for sure.
And I definitely feel this overwhelming feeling of abundance whenever I interact with this group. And thank you all for the support and the love and just positive vibes all the time. Can we just highlight Jason's comment? He fills up his calendar even with COVID tests.
Hey, there was a meme like, have you had more dates or COVID tests this year? I don't know. Apparently, Jason is rocking his social life with COVID tests.
I always look forward to getting my nose counted.
The other piece too, though, is, like, we have to also not, like, glamorize things just because they're not happening right now. Like, I was thinking, like, we got a lot about New Year's Eve. I'm transitioning here because Jason did this question, which I'm kind of calling this out because I think it's awesome. It's like, what is the alternative to that, like, coveted New Year's Eve kiss? And I think, like, for me, I was thinking about New Year's and I'm like, oh, it's such a bummer that I'm going to have to, like, be at home or virtual or whatever. And then I'm like, wait, I don't even really like New Year's. It's like not my holiday at all. And last year I literally wanted to stay home and just, like, do self-reflection, but I had too much FOMO and I ended up getting way too drunk and doing mushrooms. So it's like, you know, like,
how every New Year's goes down.
So I'm like, okay, actually, maybe I should just be appreciative that this year I will be able to just unwind and chill and do the thing I wanted to do last year, but felt guilty about.
Yeah, it's good to peel back the layers of why New Year's Eve is so important to you, and maybe you realize it's not that important to you. Another thing to think about is that New Year's Eve is sort of arbitrary, right? Yeah. Like, it's just like a date and like a time at midnight. Like, it's very arbitrary. You could celebrate New Year's Eve any time of the year. So I would say take control of that. Don't let New Year's Eve dictate when you celebrate it. You dictate when you celebrate New Year's Eve. So maybe when you go back together with friends and family, or you meet that someone, redo the entire New Year's Eve and get your kiss and get your hugs and get a feast going on. Like, you dictate. That could be March 15th for all I care, but that is your New Year's Eve.
Totally. And also, okay, I'm just throwing this out because this happened to me a couple years ago outside of COVID, is that I was in a long distance relationship on New Year's, and we did, like, you know, WhatsApp video before, and I did, like, the cheesy blow the kiss through the phone, and you could do that still. Like, there's ways that you could, like, still make that happen on New Year's, whether that's, like, you know, getting the hat and going cheesy and doing all the New Year's stuff with friends, or, you know, if you are dating someone you can't be together, like, maybe there's some virtual stuff. You know, I love virtual sex, so I'll just leave it at that. But there's stuff you can do.
All of us know, but now you all do know.
I feel like I've said that multiple times on the podcast. So there's no...
In case you didn't hear it the first 10 times. Julie, relax.
This is the safest thing you could do during COVID right now. Just saying.
And why should we subscribe to this whole idea of being so festive and going to a party and getting that New Year's kiss on New Year's Eve? What if you created your own traditions? I've always been such a fan of this. What if on New Year's Eve, instead of going out, what you do is you stay in and you reflect on the year. Take inventory of the year. Light a candle, sage your place, drink a glass or 5 bottles of wine. That your tradition that you pass down your family tree or to your friends or to your loved ones. Like you create that and you make that tradition yours.
That is literally what I wanted to do last year, but I had like societal pressure to go out. And I think that is like, I feel like New Year's is actually the perfect time to reflect because it's like a whole year has passed. I think it's a wonderful exercise to really take inventory. I actually did this once month by month. Like I looked at like what the highs and the lows were. I think it's actually even ideal to maybe get into a ritual for real time. But if you can't do that, like even reflecting back, because sometimes we say like, oh, 2020 was the worst year ever. Like all the shit happened, but there's a lot of good that happened. I mean, we're here all together right now. So that's one thing. So like maybe look at different things. And I'm sure there's other things in everyone's life outside of this too. So I would definitely take inventory. And I think sometimes when you even journal it or record it or whatever way you want to do it, it can be a lot more clear of the good stuff that's happened.
Yeah. And rather than setting New Year's Eve resolutions or New Year's resolutions, I hate those, by the way, because you're setting yourself up for disappointment. How could one night of the year make you see your entire year in a different way? It just doesn't make any sense. Instead of setting these resolutions, set intentions. So these aren't goals. It's not like, oh, I'm going to get a promotion this year or I'm going to find a husband this year. It's more about setting the intentions. I will be more positive this year. I will be more grateful this year. I will see the good in people this year. And this just shifts everything to not just be about you, but how you view the world.
I love that. So we're going to play a little game of trivia now for people. So we've heard this term that Ivory in our group coined. I've not heard this anywhere else. So I'm giving Ivory full credit here. Is holoswiping, where there's like a surge of activity around the holidays. So I want people to guess in the comments, what day do we think of the entire year has the most activity on dating apps? I feel like we should be playing like the Jeopardy song or something. A countdown. I don't know why that one popped in my mind. But who knows? New Year's Eve. Work on your dating dream board, Gisela. I love that. Anyone have ideas? Thanksgiving. Okay, we got a Thanksgiving is the most popular day for dating. This is all year. The day after Valentine's Day, Cameron. Boxing Day, we got a UK person in the house. January 1st, January 2nd, after New Year's. Okay, keep going. Valentine's, the Sunday after Valentine's Day. Michael Todd Green. I think you got it. So it's actually, that is the most active day for dating annually. It's called Dating Sunday, the first Sunday of the year. And we actually got this stat from Logan Urey, who is the director of behavioral science at Hinge. And she is actually going to be our next sounding board Dateable After Show guest. So we wanted to kind of give a little preview into that. And most of you probably remember her episode. It was The Science of Dating. It is one of our most popular episodes. Cue the Bachelorette tone, Yue. But Yue roasted me last episode of saying that, but this truly was. And she is fascinating. I love talking to Logan because she was a behavioral scientist and now she's a dating coach. So she's merged essentially behavioral science with dating and love and relationships. And she really like explains our behavior. And like we all know that we all love learning about the why in our behavior. And she knows the answers. So if you are not a sounding board member yet, definitely join. We still have some spots. We like to keep it limited though, just so we have enough intimacy. So it's going to be a fireside chat. You're going to be able to like ask any question you want to Logan, which is a super cool experience. And she also has an upcoming book coming out. So you're going to get like a sneak peek into that. It's called How Not to Die Alone, not How to Die Alone. How Not to Die Alone using behavioral science. So definitely, if you're not a member yet, you can always ping us if you have any questions or comment about it. But this again is for the exclusive relationship member level and the friends with benefits level. And of course, you can join at the friends level too, and you can just join and get the audio series and all the other great benefits of being in the sounding board.
And what is the sounding board? It's really the extension of this Facebook group, an extension of the podcast. It's extension of us. We really put our heart and soul into this group, and we have these really deep discussions, and sometimes we have really surface level funny discussions. But it's really just getting the conversation to go a couple layers deeper than what we normally talk about, right? So if you want to, you don't have to be interactive in the sounding board. You can do all the activities on your own, or you can join like the other people in the discussion group. You can join us for the live events. You can interact, or you don't have to. Everything's consensual.
It's all to help you. Basically, all to help you. And after this, we are going to be having the happy hour and podcast, or the happy hour tonight is going to be in the Sounding Board Facebook group. We are actually doing our first rendition of a book club that Gisela is leading. And Yay! We also will have Louise just doing happy hour games. I think Louise prepared quite the list of dating trivia. So it's going to be a really fun night. So if you miss the happy hours and the podcast discussion groups, definitely come on over to the Sounding Board.
And for the happy hours tonight, if you guys got any dateable merch, we want to see what it looks like. We've seen it on some of you. Tony, we saw it on you. We saw it on
Chris.
Anybody else? I'm really curious how the
Caitlin posted her mug. And one of my best friends who is married with a child bought a multiple master dating mugs. So it goes for everyone.
I think that says a lot. Married with a kid, I still masturbate.
Exactly, you get a master date all the time. But also, sounding board members do get additional discounts. So that is just an extra perk. But anyone can go and check out the merch. It's a great holiday gift. So again, if you want to get it in time for the holidays, like this is the week to act.
Kendra says hers is still shipping. I have you.
Kendra, what'd you get?
Yeah, tell us what you got. Jason's like, Tony, IG model of 2020.
Yeah.
That's a lot to live up to, right? Like, it's only 3 more weeks left. You're the model of the year.
Hey.
That's a good call.
Since we have had 0 Instagram models on the Dateable podcast feed, you could be the Instagram model 2020. The bar is low right now. This is the fight, the ultimate 3 weeks left.
And Ryan's onto something. He says, How to Die Alone, a Dateable special. And Gisella's like, we can write that book together. I actually think that'd be a really great
How to Die Alone
book.
Oh, my blunder of the title. You know what?
Die Alone.
I love it. I think we should do it because it's like sometimes,
And you're at quarantine from fuckboys joggers.
Yes. I also bought the quarantine from fuckboys tank, and I plan on putting that in my dating profile. And I really hope people do the socially distanced yet emotionally available in their dating profile, because I would 110 swipe right on that.
Oh yeah, multiple times.
If anyone wants to increase their matches like today, all you need to do is buy that swag. The mask. Okay.
All right, we're going to wrap this up. This was so fun. So cool checking in with you all. Thanks for all the fun tidbits and comments and your feedback on these episodes. We got so much feedback on this recent Tony episode. Keep sending them in. It's really, really interesting. And I think we open up something here where like we really want to normalize this discussion around mental health. It needs to be talked about, and we need to talk about it as a group. So keep those comments coming in, keep that feedback coming in. Can't wait for y'all to hear the Schemas episode next week. Just DM us on Instagram. We're very active on Instagram.
And then if anyone has other ideas that weren't touched about of how to make it through the holidays, then of course, like let's post them in the group, you know, like let's get a chain started. We can even comment on this if you have new thoughts that pop into your mind. We are looking to do a Dateable themed holiday party also in the sounding board. So again, another plug to become a member, but that's another way to have something virtual and something to put on your calendar.
I'm going to put it on my calendar now next to my COVID test, holiday, a Dateable holiday party.
That's Jason's calendar right there.
Cool. Thanks, y'all. Stay dateable. Can't wait to catch up again very soon. We'll see you all in happy hour, or most of you in happy hour. And keep commenting, keep posting in the Facebook group.
Should we do a big Stay Dateable together? We can do it and everyone can do it in their home.
Yeah, we'll pretend everyone else is saying it. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I have a pretty good imagination. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Stay Dateable.